Do it.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening for you all, and thank you for coming today. And we're going to be talking today and getting real with a woman who comes from another country. And, I always wondered what it was like because, I've grown up here where I am in Toronto, Canada, and I've been here all my life. Yes, I have traveled around the world, haven't hit every country yet. But to imagine to be brought up in another country, to speak another language, and then you have to come to a country and learn the language, and you have other different difficulties that you have to deal with. To me, it seems like an impossible task. So, for me, I find that I have a lot of respect for somebody who is able to do that. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And we'll get into introducing our woman of the hour today. But Nicole, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and I so agree with you pertaining to moving from another country. It's, I was born in California, moved to Arizona, and now I'm in South Carolina, and that to me was a big move, but that's like nothing compared to moving to another country. And I can remember one time when I was with my girls and they were younger, and there was someone from another country speaking English, but they had an accent. And I said, whatever you do, be very respectful of that. I said, and because, you don't make fun of them. You just accept that. I said, because they're speaking at least two languages. We don't know any other language, So for me, huge respect for anybody that comes to this country or any other country. That's brave. That's the epitome of brave to me. So would I do it? I don't know. I don't know.
Nature, or it's part of. Sometimes we are forced to move out and talk about moving out of your comfort zone. Like that's the all-time hugest thing. And we're going to be talking. So today we're going to be talking, and I hope I pronounced her last name right again. Monica Periade is a Romanian board coaching conversationalist, transformational life coach, and is Amazon International best-selling author with a really compelling life story. Growing up under the repressive communist regime, she faced scarcity, personal struggles, including dyslexia, ADHD, and addiction. However, these challenges only fueled her determination to inspire and to uplift others. Monica's passion for writing is evident in her books like The Autonomy of Happiness and Unstoppable You, where she shares messages of hope, inner strength based on her own experiences. She's also known for conducting interactive workshops, one-on-one coaching sessions, and helping individuals discover their potential. So today, ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce you to Monica. Hi, Monica. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Glenda. Really glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your story. I read her bio also. And, when you talk about not just moving to another country, but moving to a country, at some point you've overcome addiction and you've overcome a lot of obstacles to get to where you are today. And I, for one, Glenda, I'm sure you're the same. I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, and I know what a struggle it is to have, having these obstacles in front of you because, as many people do know, I have family who have struggled with many obstacles as well because they have their own challenges. And, it's difficult. But like I said, Monica, kudos goes to you that never mind what you had to face, but first of all, from where you come from your country, and living under that type of regime is one whole obstacle in itself, never mind something else with your other obstacles of your learning disabilities, and then on top of it coming and moving to another country. So when you came here to, or when you moved over, did you speak any English at all?
And yes, I do. I did. I started to speak English early in my 20s, and I I guess I get it to this level. So I think I quite managed to get by with the English.
Yeah, I've heard English is very hard for people from other countries because we have certain words that look the same but they're spelled different. I've just heard it's torturous to learn English. Is that true?
No, it's not true at all. I think English it's a good language, and there is one good reason behind English being, to me, will always be the number one international language, the most common language, and it's easy. Try to speak German or Deutsch or Russian or some other languages which I don't want to bring up right now, but English is really a good language. It's easy to pick up, so there's
Good,
a good
good.
reason behind.
So you've had your own challenges, what I see from making it through from having dyslexia, ADHD, and addiction. And then did you start that transition of trying to go through those difficulties when you came here, or did this start before you had moved? And at what age did you move?
Oh, I have to say I'm 51 right now, so the listener can understand or the people that watches us. So I moved. I start to. Uh, I can't say I moved one place and now I'm really established somewhere. I would like to I would like to mention that. But I started when I was in my 20s, right after my mom passed away. So I come from a broken family, let's say. My parents, they were divorced. So my mom was a psychiatrist, so she had to work more than any other regular mom because she had to look after us. So in my 20, exactly when I was 20, I lost her. So she passed away. So then I all was in my mind to go and conquer the world and kill the pain of losing a parent. So you get when you feel you have nothing to lose. So that's how I felt when I lost my mom. So I start to go to travel. I look for a working contract outside. I was speaking English, but not at a level that I could really excel. But the experience itself abroad gave me the English certification, and then I took up on the British Council and Cambridge and so on. So I've been a continuous learning into a continuous learning journey process, and I invest in myself. That's why today I take pride in helping other people to improve themselves, to overcome trauma, obstacles, toxic behaviors, or toxic workspaces. So I started to work abroad. I moved to quite a few countries, and yeah, now I'm here, and I'm happy to be part of other people' journey to success.
I love it. So, can you take us a little bit through your own journey of how you started when, you said you started at an early age of 20, when your mother passed away. And I can totally understand losing a parent, especially only having at that point one parent who was basically your worldview, and then you start trying to drown or cover those feelings, and then how that all went. So if you could take us a little bit of a journey, it would really help our audience understand where you were coming from.
Absolutely. So my journey was a complete, a full, continuous investment in myself. So I took courses. I work, and I I took my diploma in business management. I continue to work on myself. So um, the one reason I took on this path, which I think it comes pretty much by default with the Maslow pyramid. You get to at some point you want to contribute. But the reason I've been to so much struggle, I've been into so much adversity, and I didn't know how to deal with, and it's created so much confusion. And then I got married, and I got disappointed there, and I had got heartbroken, and I didn't knew how to deal, and I didn't have anyone to be there for me. So I have to take up on the process alone, which was a lengthy process of recovery, of healing. Um, it would that help to have someone to show me and to teach me, or to
Yes.
at least have the patience to help me heal, or to show me that this is not the end of the world, because we feel it's the end of the world. We feel rejected. We feel misunderstood, especially when you lose a parent, and then you lose someone who's was supposed to be your partner, your best friend, and you get heartbroken. So I promised myself, but not at that time. At that time I didn't know, because I was still very very young. And then I got into different companies and jobs, multinationals, and all that. And I was lucky enough to get into some toxic environments and toxic workspaces. With toxic because multinational meaning you have people, you work with people, you are exposed to different culture, different personality, different mentalities, and so on. So I was fortunate enough to get the experience firsthand. So as as I traveled to my own journey of struggle and obstacles and all of that, one day I was working with the coach, and I was doing volunteering in Africa and Asia and so on my own vacation and time. But one day, the biggest discovery was that I love uplifting others, and I would love to save other people the time that I had to go through, and it's not necessarily everybody has to go through. So that's how I um, decided to take on this path of uplifting others, of coaching and helping other women overcome toxic experiences, feel good about themselves, relearn how to love themselves, or actually learn, because sometimes we don't know and we don't understand. I have a lot of women that they say to me, "Oh, but that's selfish." But it's not. It's not. It's not. And if you don't fill your cup, you will never have what to pour to others. So until you really learn, and women, I talk with women all the time, and one number one answer they gave me: I can't love myself. I don't have the time. I am demanding by family. I don't have. I can't. I know, but I don't love myself. And I say, how can you answer? And then I put myself back in the days when I knew so very little. And it's very painful to see that women don't understand that I can't, and I don't know, or I don't have the time to love myself. It's actually going against what they want to build for themselves, for their family. Because when you love yourself, you become a better person. Even you might be a good person. No one says you are not. but you become a better person. When you become a better person, you become a better whatever role you have with other people, whatever in relation. So that's what I want to do. I want to see the best in other people. I think this is going to be my contribution. There has to be a reason for all the struggles, and God, they've been so many.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how I feel about me right now. And Glenda, I think you do as well, is that we're so much more prepared to answer questions or help someone through it because we've walked that path. We understand that path all too well. And there was a time I didn't love myself because I didn't even know that was allowed, if you will. I never thought about loving myself. And when I did, it changed my world. And now I realize that that's part of my journey too, is to help people realize you're supposed to love yourself first and then nurture others. I really feel that's a true story. Was there ever a time when you didn't love yourself? Did you have to learn to love yourself?
Of course, we do love ourselves when we are baby. We born, we love ourselves because we don't know any difference, and then we've been taught that we get punished if we behave in certain way. So we learn that love is conditional, and then later, when
It's true.
my case, my mom was working, she loved me, no doubt about it. But was I sure at the time that she loved me? No, I wasn't. So I was, because of she was so busy going working for ourselves and doing all these things. I was I felt unlovable. I felt that something is wrong with me. I
Mm.
felt I get, because I was the youngest one, the last one. Um, I thought then something is wrong with me because my mom don't have the time to spend it with me. So yes, I and then as you grow up and all of that, you get all the sort of beliefs from limitations from other people behavior. So it's not necessarily that someone will tell you I don't love you, but people will behave in such a way that you will feel unlovable. And now the society nowadays, currently the society say it's all in your head, but it's not. It's not that, and it's we are influenced by our surrounding, but the circumstances and everything. So yes, I did have to learn, I think, learn, not relearn, learn to love myself. And despite all that is going ahead, and I still, at the time, I still have to remind myself um, that I'm lovable and I'm doing well.
I think that years ago, because we're all seem to be in the same age area, and what I think had happened is years ago we all came from a different world. The world really has transpired. So the thing of loving yourself and that it was now it's considered that it's not selfish, but in the early years it was always considered when you put too much time into yourself, or if you didn't give out to your kids, that you were being selfish. And I know that, what thinking back to when my mother was a mother of 4 kids running a business, because we had a family business, and there wasn't time at that point, not having strong supports in those years. And I think as we have sort of changed in our world, or transitioned into where we are today, now it's the thing where we think of the how important it is to have self-care, and looking after yourself. And it isn't selfish. Now we've come to this realization, but in those years it wasn't of that. It was the realization of you'd constantly do. The mother's place was to be at home in most cases and look after her family, and it wasn't about her caring for herself. And it was in those days thinking that you were selfish. And now today we realize how important it is to look after your own body first, and that because otherwise, and I found that this the hard way from getting very sick from pushing too much from looking after everybody else but me. Eventually that I had no choice but to look after myself because my glass was empty. It was below the empty. And, that's when my body gave out on me. But it's just because have we've grown, we've learned. And now, luckily for, the younger people that they understand that, but yet there's other, what other things we've grown in some ways we've also fallen back in others.
Absolutely. I think looking back, years back, I didn't understand when really get into that journey of transformation, of really personal development, not just working on myself, but really becoming a person of value, of more value, I would say, that can share herself with other. But it's everything starts with self, and I keep saying that with self-esteem, self-love, self-confidence, self-worth, and little that I knew, but they are not the same thing. Everyone has defined a different part, or that build us, that makes us more 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 healthy, I would say, more healthy. So self-worth as a woman, self-worth coming it comes from the level of self-love we have for ourselves. We can't really connect and love someone else if we don't have love for ourselves, because we wouldn't know how to relate that. And also, I think it's very important to understand that it's not selfish, because lots of people, if you go to work and you don't take time for yourself and for your kids, and you work, you definitely, you are a high achiever. You have you need to, you see yourself, your level of self-esteem through achievement, to providing, but definitely you don't love yourself, and you don't know how to relate with your kids and your family if you overdo it. It's the same with the men, and so on. So I think everything starts with self, and with self-love and self-worth.
Oh, absolutely. So you've written two books from I see. Can you tell us about your books? I'm not sure which one is
Yeah, I
first.
have the first edition, the first very edition, but I changed it. So this is the anatomy of growing, and the basic of growing, and the anatomy of happiness. Funny, I didn't know how to say my own title by my. It's how it's just I know it, but and then this is another, the second edition,
Oh,
and
nice.
why it comes the one unstoppable view, which is recently launched there. So
Congratulations.
I always, we look and we admire and we dream, and I always dream of doing something like that. But I met someone who was following me and watching me closely, and while I was really saying, "Oh, I would love to be able to write a book," and that person came to me and said, "I see your post and you're doing and all of that, what you share. How about you actually take the time and put all of that and have a book?" So that's share your story, share the things, your insights, all that your experience. Put it all together in a book, and I'll help you publish it. That was the publisher. So
Wow.
that's how it happens. That's how it happens.
Doesn't it feel good though to hold that book and see your name on it and know that's a part of you coming from your heart?
Yes, absolutely. And knowing that it might inspire someone. But I think the biggest emotion got from the first review. When I read the first review, I burst into tears.
Oh,
That was the biggest emotional thing that happened to me when I read the first review. It was something else. It's like You put some love, you pour some love, and you get it back. That's with the reviews.
It's beautiful. I love that. And it's really important, when we all have dreams in our own minds, in our own heads, and to come through and to bring that dream to life is such an important thing, especially it does so much for our own self-worth. And so how long did it take you to write this book?
I think I would like to say, because it's not such a thick book and all of that, all of my life, but I think um, somewhere 6 months, I would say, maybe 8, with a couple of hours, few hours. I didn't stay day and night because all you require is discipline. If you can put a couple of hours every day, and even you don't know what to do and what to say and what to write, you just allocate that time. I think this is, through my experience, this is the crucial factor, the most important element, to allocate the time and do it every day. Consistency, like in everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so sometimes you don't know what to say, and by the way, writing a book means you write notes all the time, everywhere. So then you gather them together, and then you put all of that in a word, and from the word you take it so on. So basically, first you take notes, because thoughts are coming to you, and different ideas. It's like Mark Zuckerberg says, ideas don't come fully formed. You basically work on them. So a book doesn't come fully formed. You take notes, you put your thoughts down, and then you make the most of what you gather.
And that's a great point that you brought up. So often we have things that come to us, but sometimes we don't listen to those thoughts. And whether it's streaming into a book or streaming into what we should be doing in our life, a lot of times we don't pay attention. And I know for myself, for many years, I didn't pay attention to those voices that told me. And it wasn't until I had to go through something really tough that when I suddenly start to wake up and listen to that voice that was screaming at me for years, right? So imperative that we need to listen. And men and women alike, it doesn't matter, we all have it, but it's the problem is the chatter that goes around in our head, right? It's like having a boom box in there. There's so much going on, but we don't take time to stop. But whether you're writing the book, like you're saying, and what's coming on, the messages that come to you, or whether you are trying to figure out what your next step is in life, we need to stop and do things like to listen to those things and write down. Do you meditate or anything like that to start to
Yeah.
listen more to your voice?
Yes. um, I used to fall asleep a lot when I was trying to meditate.
Uh,
So,
that's common. That's common. We have
well,
to teach ourselves to meditate.
absolutely. And then I couldn't understand, cut off the noise, and so I was trying to make some senses and get some quietness. When actually meditation is, uh, there are different type of meditation, but the simple one, it's because I've been to India twice. One to love the self love, to reprogram myself and learn the self love program, so to help me um, get to what I am emotionally. And the second time was just for the meditation and Reiki. So you have different type of breathing techniques, you know. You have also bringing your own om into it. So you focus on these things. So you focus either on your breathing. The breathing can be, it's inhale and exhale and all of that, or simply quietly. You have, I think it's easy to find in the internet the type of
Yeah.
meditation that are there. The most important meditation that I learned in my life, and it's really helpful, is the one that you practice. really. That works like a charm. So if you don't do meditation, I think um, you lose on a lot, because when you actually do meditation, you you get to a different to a higher level of self consciousness.
Hmm.
So how this happen in fragments, actually. A thought, a name might just pop in, and then you just have to speak all of that, and because you know yourself, you know your story, and so on. And I can't say for anyone, but that's how it starts. And then eventually, when you have a question, you just put it in the air, so to speak. You just ask yourself, and then you do your things, and then when it's time comes to meditate, you don't ask the question, but you want the answer to that question, and your subconscious mind will deliver it to you. So I think meditation works, and then it releases the stress, the breathing, the air that can go in corners of your organs, that the air doesn't go easily, because what is breathing, it's what to call, it's an invisible power, because you do it without without uh, unconsciously you do it, so you don't have to make an effort for that, right? So we, through meditation, we meet other invisible power that we have. So breathing also, when you, so I think the audience got that.
Yeah, and one of our viewers here, Donna's, who's watching us, and she's saying that too, that she's got a lot going on now, and she's got too many things going on in her head. So the meditation is, and I know through any times that I've had trouble times, I try. Now is I'm pretty regular, but from time to time, it's just like everything else. Sometimes we fall off. We go on, but instead of being too hard on ourselves, we have to learn that we accept the fact that if we fall off, it's okay. We just turn around and you just start back up again. It's part of being human. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to keep on going forward.
Yes. One of
Absolutely.
the things I liked about writing a book, and I didn't know it at the time, because to tell my whole story, I had to really be vulnerable, or the story wouldn't make sense. I knew some things in there that were embarrassing to me for a while, my husband cheating on me. But to really get the whole effect of my whole story, I had to tell it. And that taught me so much in writing that, because now I can talk to someone and be vulnerable. And vulnerability is kind of a heart to heart connection. How did you find that in yourself?
Definitely, definitely. Um, it's not easy to to just put it to just put your life story, and I can relate to your story. I went to a traumatic experience in my marriage, which was early in life. It doesn't matter early or late. They're all dramatic and traumatic. But yeah, putting myself in a book and describe sharing a little bit of the pain, and it humbles you, first of all.
Yes.
It humbles you, and create for it strengthen you, I think. Strengthen, it's the right word. It makes you, it empowers you, I think, because then, okay, it's out there, so I don't have to feel, because I think guilt, shame for someone else's behavior, so that's what we take on. So for example, if my father, God rest his soul, was uh, having a drinking problem, then that's anyone who had these things, what will be the first thing? We get the shame, we get the guilt, though it's has nothing to do with ourselves. So we do that also when we get cheated, when we get treated unfair in a toxic way, and so on. So when you actually write your story, when you share your story, you actually heal every time a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more.
Yeah,
And
it's an amazing experience, Glenda, and I will be prodding you very soon to write yours.
I know. So, and I just wanted to bring this out. And Monica, you just said this too, and Nicole, and I just want to bring this out again to our audience, because I too lived and had, a man in my life who was extremely deceitful, and it hurts. But what we do is we feel ashamed. We feel ashamed as if it's us. Now, we didn't make those decisions to do that. And we have to realize, no, men or women, we don't need to feel ashamed. We have to realize that those are their choices that they make. It has nothing to do with us. They decide, we can, as adults, sit down and say, this relationship isn't working for me. I'm not feeling heard. I'm not feeling, loved. Whatever the situation is, we need to talk about this. And if it's, or, you can be really honorable and say, look, I'm not interested anymore and I want to leave. That's really the highest road that you can take, to actually be an adult to discuss it. But it doesn't happen that way. And then the person who has been hurt or whatever, or cheated on, or, it obviously is a major hurt. But we have to learn that we can't take on other people's actions to be our own. And it's just something that, I went through too. I don't know if I was ashamed. I had more of the anger in me, of because of what I had done for them and had been for them. So it was major betrayal. But, everybody has a different way of looking at it. But I just want to say, for those that are watching and it's happened or part of your life, is that we have to learn that we don't have to take on somebody else's actions into ourselves, so that we actually feel as though we were the cause of it.
And I agree with
Absolutely.
you, Glenda. I felt so guilty and so ashamed for him cheating on me.
You're right. So that's the saddest part of it all, that we have that emotion, and that emotion really knocks us much further down. And it comes into, yes, you have to get through all of those emotions, but you imagine how much easier it would have been going through that emotion had you not had that also feeling of feeling ashamed and all of that. Like, you're already hurt, you're already feeling that betrayal, but now that you have actually taken on that of feeling ashamed for his action.
Yeah. And I did.
But yeah, but since forever we have this societal pressure, and this is the first thing that comes. For example, you want divorce immediately because you think, I'm gonna lose the family um, grip. I'm gonna lose what is right now going, because maybe some things are not going well, but there are things that the values of having a family together, value of the gathering, maybe having, so losing friends, because so many, when you get divorced, you divorce from friends who are married, because one by one they apart, they go away, and it's true. And that's and then eventually, if this is a shock, because I speak with a lot of women, but I also relate to the pain I had at the time. And I didn't want to leave. I just, simply because it was after my mama, and I said, if this is life, this is not something I want to be dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, not in these words, but actually, this is what I was feeling and thinking. And then I thought, okay, must be something wrong with me. That's something wrong with me. And you don't sit and say, oh, there's something wrong with me. This is how you feel.
Yeah.
There was no words, it's just the emotions. So you feel like something, you are not lovable. So, if I only could be enough, I wouldn't go. What could I have done different? So you go on and on and on and on, but in a pain and but if the audience, I want to say, the greatest the pain, the greatest the gain. You see, because
Mm.
you're gonna get out of it, and even pain, or even happiness or laughter doesn't last forever. So all I can say, be patient with yourself, no matter where you go and what you're going through. And pain, it's not easy. Men also get divorced, men also get hurt and all of that, but
Everything, absolutely.
yeah, it's but we get more hurt than men. So
No, I'm not. You can't weigh that out. I'm saying the same whether a man is cheated on or a woman is cheated on. It doesn't matter. We all have emotions and we all feel things, and brings us down, and we all have to get through it. And hopefully we have that time for ourselves that we can actually heal before. I think one of the most important things is to heal before you jump back into another relationship, because when you don't heal and you don't search it out, you tend to fall into the same type of person again. And history tends to repeat itself until you heal from it and deal with it.
absolutely, absolutely. You can't really jump, but there are people who can't stay alone even for any amount of time. So there are people who get from relation or marriage to another just simply because they can't stand to be alone. And when you can't stand to be alone, it's a very big red flag of not loving yourself. Because if you can't be in your own company, if you can't take the time, basically you don't love who you are, and you want to see some love through someone else. But eventually you get into another dependable wrong relationship, and the history, like you say, Glenda, the history repeats itself.
And we know how hurtful that is. Instead of finding something new, you realize down the road. And sometimes you get so involved, and then you turn around and you look back and you see that history has repeated itself. And I think that's the worst of all, that's someone can go through it again and again.
If it was one word, I wish I knew this question long back, when I was confused and pain, not knowing, maybe alone because working abroad, being alone, and also that. And I went after my marriage through a couple of toxic relationships too.
We all have it. I admit it.
But I'm glad right now. I wish she didn't. Okay, but I'm glad it did, because at least I can help other people. But if I am to say something, I wish I had this question to help me at the time, and I always share this with people. How this is serving me? But I didn't know to ask myself this, because I took a bottle of vodka and I took some pills, and I thought maybe I should just finish with the world,
Oh,
because I lost my mom and then my husband, because I heard the conversation over the phone. He had a conversation with a girl on the phone in our home, and he was telling her whatever, so it was really like a shock. I went out, I remember, and I wanted to take some sound out of my throat myself and say something or scream, and I couldn't. I remember vividly. It was full moon, and I felt like a struggled wolf, looking at the moon. And I thought, for a second, I thought I'm mute, finish. I lost my voice. And I didn't. Later, I find out that I recovered the voice. But
The voice came out loud and clear.
yes, exactly.
Probably louder than clearer than ever.
Exactly. But at the time, I didn't, though I think I could. I was from the same dough, like the same bread, no? But I couldn't ask myself, how this is serving me? How this is serving you, Monica? I
Yeah.
mean, and I think when we get negative thoughts about ourselves or anything that is negative, or because negativity it's so easy because our brain is designed to survive. So the easiest thing is to get negative what is going on, quick assess of the risk. So it's so easy
Well,
to
we also lived in a negative society, you know. Have
exactly.
you ever listened to the news and been felt uplifted because all they
Yeah,
talked about was great things? Like,
absolutely.
our world is negative. So, you know, that's our natural build now is we think negatively and
We are
everything.
wired this way.
Yeah.
So instead of doing this, okay, how this is serving me? Why am I doing this? Be awareness. That's why they say awareness. But it's so much. Um, I'm so appreciative of you guys doing this channeling, this podcast, and all the work that you do, because I think there's not enough awareness around awareness, why you need to be aware, because when you are aware of what you do, you are mindful of what is happening to you, you can make conscious choice, and not only conscious choice, healthy conscious choices. So because we are wired by the neighbor, by the TV, by the media, by anything. So yeah.
Yeah. Being awake and aware for me is something that is so powerful to be able to see outside of that box that, the news puts us in or other people put us in. And I tend to rise above it. I don't even turn on the news anymore.
Either.
I know 90% of it is made up and I don't care to indulge in that. So, I connect with nature or I connect with something very positive, and that can even be myself now. When you have that self-love, you can connect on a really deep basis with yourself, your higher self.
Oh,
So
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And connecting with nature, I think we live in such a we tend to make it more artificial and more superficial to different things, but they go nowadays hand in hand. But I think nature is the best medicine. I mean, I passed yesterday or this morning, early or yesterday. Anyway, I can't remember a big forest. So as I drove, oh my God, a connection. Even I wasn't there, I didn't immerse, and still I felt like already my energy is boosting and everything.
You
wonderful.
know, for me, it's nature for sure is always the top one. But my other thing that gets me, brings my real happiness, brings my little girl back out all the time, is animals. So
Mhm.
whenever I'm around, I'm the dog lady. So when I go to my friends and where I get, I've had dogs all my life, and now I've made the decision because it's just much easier to travel and go and do when you don't have a dog. So for me, it's I look after all my friends' dogs, so it brings that little girl back out all the time because they're just so happy. But it also brings me into another level. So when we can also find out within ourselves of what brings us happiness. Yes, there's nothing nicer than going for a walk and tapping into Mother Nature, and especially now, like Nicole, you mentioned, we're finished. We're just starting into the autumn here. I guess our leaves are. I haven't gone up north yet, so I'm sure they're starting to turn. But there's nothing more beautiful than walking in the forest and the ravines and so forth. That when the trees are, even in the summer when they're nice and full
Yes.
and green, and hearing the sounds of the birds and the rustling of of water moving or the streams. It's what we don't realize is how much we need that for ourselves. And we talked about meditation being in such an important aspect in life, but I think that the mother nature to what we can do for ourselves, or being with animals, being at something what makes us happy. We have to recognize, and instead of being somewhere where being around people that might um, deplete us, which
Exactly.
we need to be aware of, let's start really focusing on what actually brings energy into us. And that's what we need to keep on repeating.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when you talk about being depleted of energy, some of the people that I used to hang around with were energy vampires. They
Mm,
wanted my energy, and I don't feel bad about cutting them out of my life. I love myself enough now to understand that I need to protect my energy. I don't need to give it to someone. I need to keep it within. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a dog person too. I love animals in general, but I think
yeah.
dogs, they teach us a totally different level of love. They are so
Oh
unconditional.
yeah, I've always said this. You watch a dog first thing in the morning. First thing they do when they get up is they stretch. That's what the body needs.
Yeah,
Being present, which we all need to be, is more present and stop worrying about what was, and what is going to be. Start living in what it is now, because we waste what we're going through or living in, because we're never there.
mm,
So such important things that animals and mother nature, listen, our own bodies can heal itself if we allow, and we don't put all the extra toxins into our bodies. Our bodies can do everything it's that they're meant to do.
absolutely. We even the soul can heal itself if you give enough time and if you put it in the right environment. In the end, it's about environment and connectivity. But we talk about we should. I want to give a tip of someone who's alone and feel defeated, cheated, alone again and again, defeated and cheated and all of that, and um, hurt and disappointed and shamed and guilt and all of that. I think it's the exercise here. It's to always put your hand on your heart and always say to yourself that you love yourself, and say it as many times as you need until you believe it, and say it with your hand on, with your palm on your heart, and say it, repeat it, repeat it until you believe it. So rewire yourself, because when we get heartbroken, when we get disappointed, when we get lonely or alone or disconnected or disappointed, because sometimes people are not there for us anymore. So
It's true.
we immediately we think at the subconscious, we don't even realize, we think something is wrong with us, something is wrong within ourselves, and it's not necessarily nothing wrong with us and nothing wrong with them. It's just things sometimes happens. So in order to move on, you have to empower yourself. So you want to love yourself, you want to uplift yourself, and the only way to uplift yourself is to connect yourself with your greatest power, and the greatest power is love. So you have to show love to yourself.
Well, you know what? I couldn't have said it better. And, as we're getting on now closer to the end of the show, I think that those wise words of wisdom that you just shared are perfect way to close off today's segment. Monica, that was absolutely beautiful, and I want to thank you so much. And for anybody, going through these trials in life, you will make it through. And some days seem harder than the others, but just remember, there's always tomorrow. So instead of doing something that could be very dangerous to yourself, remember, tomorrow's a new day. Today is the day just to really sit back and, just like you said, Monica, put a little love in your heart. Give a little love to yourself because you deserve that. Nicole, do you have any last moment thoughts you'd like to share?
It's so interesting that that's how she ended it without even knowing, because the conversation that we're having today is so incredibly important. And it's one that I never had with myself before, when I didn't love myself, when I didn't know that was a thing. And when you don't love yourself, it's almost like you no longer have respect for yourself. You put someone before you, or, well, I'll do that later because so-and-so deserves it. And I don't know where that conditioning really came from. I think just society in general. But I think that the fact that we're having these conversations more often and more openly, it's something we need to continue doing, whether it's on here or whether it's just an everyday conversation, is reminding not just other people, but reminding ourselves that we're important, we're special, we're loved, even if it's only by us. That's plenty. And to keep this out in the open where it doesn't get suppressed. I look at many years ago, I didn't know this. I didn't know I could love myself. And I do. And I take care of myself in a different capacity now. And so this has been a really good conversation for me, as a reminder of how important we truly are and how much we truly deserve, Glenda.
The conditioning comes from the fact that we are not really aligned in terms of self-love with ourselves. We are really not connected, and we have this tendency. So the conditioning is still a scream for love. So the conditioning coming from the love that we put into others. So we condition ourselves because we want to give love, but we don't know how to give it to ourselves. So we give. So I wanted to answer that. I don't know where the conditioning comes from. Again, the fact that we don't really learn to love ourselves, and we do want love, because all we want love. The first thing we want, it's love, and we want to share it out there. So we condition ourselves. If only I give, maybe I'll receive. But you can't receive it because you have to give it to yourself first. So I know it sounds a little bit complex, especially when you don't have love from the outside. But once you take on the program of self-love, it clarifies. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, on what a very, very important subject today. It was wonderful, and I want to thank you very much for being here today, for joining us on this. And we're hoping that, if you're watching this, you learn that you love yourself first, because then it's easier to get back once you can give to yourself, number one. And it's the best way to, to build yourself first. We can't depend on others to do what we need to do for ourselves. So please, comment below, share this out to others who need to be hearing this, because we all need to hear this. It's a very important subject. Again, thank you very much, Monica, for joining us. If those are looking to contact Monica, there is a link below the video so you can reach out. We all have links there. So anybody needs, feeling that you're connecting with one of us and you need to speak to somebody, somebody that will hear you, somebody that will hold space for you. That's really what it's about. So we're here to get real with you. And most importantly, it's about love. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Glenda. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great day, everybody.